to New Realities. I have some of my favorite people with us today, especially as the Sedona Ascension Retreat starts to rev up. And, Suzanne and I have been doing a series of interviews, and we have some fantastic people today. So, Suzanne, why don't you introduce our guests? Because you're responsible, they're sitting together,
Well, I did my part to bring them together at the speaker meet and greet at my event in March of 2023. And I wasn't aware that this, spark had been lit and they were falling in love during our conference. But I love that because it's the love and joy frequency, right? But I'm just
I
so
had no
thrilled.
idea. I know. I mean, who knew?
I know,
But
me
yeah.
neither. I didn't know either. And then it was funny because I was doing a practice run of my September event at the Center for Christ Consciousness, and somebody there said, "Oh my God, look at Matt posted on Facebook, and him and Joy got together at your conference." And I was like, really? Wow, I didn't know that. So I texted Joy and she was like, yes, we fell in love and it was really beautiful. So I'm just so thrilled
Wow.
we're here with them today and we get to celebrate that and that they're coming back for my March 2024 conference only 6 weeks away now. So
Just show
welcome, you
people,
guys.
just show people the flyer. So we, in case, it's not just another love story, but show them the flyer so they stay get in the beginning of the program to see all how it's unfolding, and it's going to be fantastic, everyone. It is March 8th in the
Okie dokie. There it is.
beautiful backdrop of Sedona, Arizona, with, yes, Matt Kahn, Joy Kingsborough, Anita Morjani, Linda Moulton Howe, but person there, Bashar, Darryl Anka. Who else you got there? You want to highlight?
Yeah, well, our dear friend William Henry is back. He's just such a great ascension teacher. Suzanne Giesman is here this year, and she's really a powerhouse. She's a medium and a mystic, of course, the beloved Hurtaks. Mark Anthony
Yes.
is new this year. He's called the psychic lawyer and the psychic explorer. So, bringing in some channelers, of course, my beloved spiritual teacher, Maureen St. Germain, some near death
Mhm.
experiencers, Rob Gentile, Sue Frederick. Vivian Chavot, Brad Olson, Debbie Solaris. Yeah, super excited about the lineup this year, but definitely thrilled that Matt and Joy were able to kind of jump in just a couple months ago. And we decided to add them as the early morning meditation guides. Yes.
Yes. Great. No, it's so good. So yes, so this is like an anniversary for these guys, right? Yes. So what are you going to be? Are you going to talk together? Are you going to talk? How are you going to do it, guys? How are you?
We are going to talk at exactly the same time, and it's going to be gripping. What we do, because we have since coming together, and by the way, Suzanne, thank you for having such an incredible event where it allowed us to meet and to fall in love. I don't think either of us were expecting to go to that weekend event and fall in love. And I'm so blessed every day that this incredible woman is a part of my life. And now as we teach together, we both found as channels that we're channeling from the same frequencies. And so when we are teaching, we often are feeling the same energy as in our lives. And we will take turns bringing through various frequencies through the word. So Joy will talk. There will be a point where she'll pause. I'll start coming through. And there's this symbiotic, synchronistic flow between us that really is the energetic embodiment of what weaves the masculine and feminine energies together. So we're both very excited. This will actually be the first time that we're teaching publicly together. And so what a celebration of the anniversary of our meeting and our soon-to-be wedding. And we're just very excited to celebrate the union of the masculine and feminine at this upcoming event.
Wow, I'm so happy. Maybe you could demonstrate a little bit, because Matt, you've been doing transmissions. I mean, you put me to sleep for the last 3 or 4 years in a good way. I just get it and just knocks me out. But I'd love to hear, and maybe Suzanne, how you're working and demonstrate how you do your new thing there.
Love it. Well, you want to? What wants to be said right now?
Well, if we're beginning with the reason that we're coming together to bring the masculine and feminine into this space, and the invitation, we felt an immediate pull, not only to celebrate us, but to celebrate the masculine and feminine that's coming together in the world as we enter into unity consciousness. So as we enter into unity consciousness, the pull to partner with people is reaching new levels. We're moving from a place of transactional connection with each other and moving into more sacred space. And as we move into more sacred space, more partnerships like the ones that are happening here help us open up to the divine that wants to flow through.
And when we talk about divine partnership, we speak of divine partnership between beloveds, between the hearts of parents and children, between animals and their co-pilots or their owners. And we talk about the divine connection, the union that is actually the relationship we're having with the universe in its many forms and variations and expressions. And then it's a divine partnership, as Joy said, out of transaction, by allowing us to be in heart coherence, the marriage between the mind and the heart, the marriage and the interconnection between the masculine and the feminine, that allows relationships to actually be access points and doorways into greater expansions of consciousness, that as we as individuals are bringing ourselves into connection with divinity, as we as divine partnerships on various levels are connecting with the divine as one, we are literally shifting the fabric of reality and creating a world that will only tolerate oneness versus separation, and interconnection and coherence versus competition or any type of battling against one another. So really, it's an incredible opportunity on this planet where we find, through the intimacy of relationship on so many levels, it is what's accelerating the fabric of time and bringing heaven to earth for the benefit of all.
Absolutely.
That is beautiful. I was so choked up I could hardly speak, but no, that was beautiful. No, that was thanks. Thanks for, when I interviewed you, and I keep going back to that line that you said, you're spreading your message one I love you at a time.
Yeah.
How does this interfere with your I love you? How does this add to your I love yous?
Well, I say that I'm sending love, the love of divinity, into the hearts of every divine creation. And that's been the work I've done for 18 years. And having Joy as my counterpart, it is through her feminine heart that all the love of divinity enters the world and heals the planet. And so she is my beloved, and she is the one who, through her heart, the love of the divine that I connect with, which we all connect with, but my connection to the divine flows this column of light through my body, from my heart, through her heart, and through the heart of Joy. The love that I transmit goes to all hearts in existence, just as for Joy, all of the energy she's channeling goes through my sacred heart and is delivered also to all beings. And so together we are doing our really high alchemy work, and we've become very aware of higher levels of revelation about what alchemy is, what the teachings of, let's say, Jesus and Mary acted as a blueprint for what would be the relationship potential for all human beings. And of the many things we want to offer together, we want to offer a very practical blueprint about what divine partnership is, kind of demystify some of the superstition around it, and really ground it in practical wisdom, so we know this is where we're all evolving. And most importantly, we don't have to wait for a romantic divine partnership to be in partnership with the divine.
Yeah.
Suzanne, what do you think?
Wow.
What do you
Yes.
think?
Well, you know what? I was just reflecting on my own beautiful marriage that I've been married for almost 30 years now. And it was only when I really opened my heart to true love, loving myself fully. I was married once before for 7 years when I lived on the East Coast. And then I had this really profound revelation on a mountaintop that I've talked about a lot, and it's in my books, where I really felt aligned with my higher self, my true calling. And in that, I ended up moving from the East Coast to the West Coast to the desert of Southern California, left my life on the East Coast, started a whole new life in the desert as a healer. And in that space of stepping into my higher self and, expressing my most authentic self, the love of my life walked into my life, and the power of love just blew my mind. Like, I couldn't even believe, like, this is what love is. This is what love really feels like. And I mean, 30 years later, we fall more in love every day. I just love him to death.
Yeah.
And we would do anything for each other. And so he really supports these events, even though he may not, be on the spiritual path in the same way that, other people in the spiritual community are. He's just one of the best people in the planet and would do anything for me or anybody else. And so he's just such a support to me with these events. I couldn't do these events without him. I call him the wind beneath my wings. So I just I felt like sharing that. You inspired me.
No, that's great. And everyone loves a love story, but I feel a little left out, actually, but what advice do you give? Because, everyone is really looking for it, and you weren't really looking for it. That's what's interesting. But what advice would you get for people who sort of would really like what you guys have?
I think that, there's something profound about, the messages we've heard over time of, when you're not looking for it, that's when it arises. But it's so much deeper than that. It's I'm not looking for it, but my heart is open and committed to being in a relationship that if I'm going to be in a relationship, and this is where we both came from, is this perspective of, if I'm going to be in a relationship, it will not be a compromise. It will be the one. It will be the actuality, the fulfillment of love. It will be the actuality and fulfillment of partnership, of friendship, of all the aspects that are important to us, including, because our work is so meaningful to us, it would combine our work as well. And so that was something that, there was just no compromise. So open, I don't expect it. I don't need it. I'm so in love with my life. I'm so in love with my career, my expression, my friendships. And if I'm going to be in a relationship, I will only be with the one, right?
Yes. And I would add to that I think one of the reasons why relationships are tumultuous, in many respects unnecessarily, is because people live as single people. And something I'd like to share that I think is really interesting about partnership. So there's the way the ego dates and the way the soul dates. So with the ego dates, the ego says, I'm going to lean into intimacy if I don't know if this is the one, and I'm only going to pull away when it's a no. Right? The ego just keeps saying, yes, I guess, okay, whatever, and keeps leaning into intimacy until it's a hard no.
Wait, I think I have to hear that again. So you're saying, just so I can absorb it, because this is a good lesson.
Yeah.
The ego saying, I think this is the one, so I'm going to go with it until it's not the one. Is that it?
Or maybe it's the one, or if I don't know it's the one, I'm going to keep testing the waters until it thinks it's going towards a definitive yes, but it's not going to stop or slow down until it's a hard no. And then when there are red flags come up, it's like, oh, give this person a chance. So here's what's interesting from the soul's perspective. The phrase, I don't know, includes the sound of no. So if it's an I don't know, I personally would never put anyone in an intimate position that belongs to my wife. I'm not going to treat someone as my potential wife if I don't know in my heart that this is the person I want to be with. So what we did, how we got together, was we as single people didn't live as single people. Single people practice putting other people in intimate roles in their lives. And when it doesn't work out, people have hurt feelings and are scarred and are rejected and are abandoned. We went into relationship. I went into relationship with my wife. She went into relationship with her husband. People wanted to date Joy. She knew they weren't her husband, so she wasn't going to cheat on her husband. I had people that wanted to date me, but I'm not cheating on my wife. So we lived as married people in our single life and never compromising unless we felt this was actually someone I was ready to actually take seriously. And only when that serious connection led to a commitment did either of us put each other in positions that we would put our beloveds. So a lot of people, what they do is they act like, they're single people. They test drive a lot of different partnerships. Then when they meet that kind of connection, they go, oh, I've got to switch into relationship mode. But if you actually start living in committed relationship mode before you meet the person, not only do you attract the person to be in relationship mode, but you're already in a place where you are bringing the best of you into the relationship instead of triggering each other into the healing you could have done before you met.
Wow, that helps me so much. It reminds me of this cartoon in the New Yorker I think of sometimes, where this man and woman are on like outside a little step, and the woman says to the guy, I knew it wasn't going to work out. I just didn't know it wasn't going to work out for this long, So it's like, but yeah, I think that's so wise and so, and in a way difficult, because it takes this. I mean, how do you do it? How do you take it's discipline. So how do you live that way?
I can share it, and Joy would have her perspective. I could say that as someone who has over many years stepped into a really high level of myself and always stepping into higher versions of myself, I've had experiences of dating and relationships, and as you step into higher versions of yourself, you become more and more allergic to complication. So for me, the desire to intimately get to know people that I knew weren't my partner was not as tempting as my severe allergy to complication. I live a very simple life. I serve a large community of empathic hearts. I cook incredibly. I live such a fulfilling life in my own life. I slept in the middle of my bed doing, what do they call
Mattress angels?
Mattress angels, snow angels each night, just relishing in how incredible my life was, and also celebrating that I have such an incredible life to share with my wife whenever she enters my reality. But for me to be intimate with someone that I didn't really have a serious interest in building a relationship with, energetically is complicated. It creates a heaviness in both people's lives. And because I live in a vow to do no harm, I neither was interested in complicating my life or potentially bringing complication to anyone else's life. So I was only willing to open my heart to a relationship when it was actually like a courtship, someone that I was taking a journey from the beginning saying, I actually am going to go on a date with you because you're actually someone I am serious about pursuing a committed relationship with. That's just what's important to me. And so the temptations stop feeling tempting because you have such a clear ethical boundary within yourself. And again, the temptation felt this big, the risk of complication felt insurmountable. So for me, it was a joy to choose from that ethical place versus a hardship. How would you?
Yeah, I would say that for me, similar. I didn't think about it quite so precisely, but for me, it was a devotion to my connection to source, to the divine. And I really surrendered to, if there's a divine partnership for me in this lifetime in the way that I want, then I I released the need to control that coming into reality. And so I surrender, bring him to me. And I was literal with that statement. If he's here, bring him to me. And I said that January, 2 months before I met him.
And just from my perspective, which I'm glad I could answer the call, I've been looking for my wife off and on since I was about 10 years old, always wondering who's the woman I'm going to marry. And literally, I remember since a very young age, literally every woman I passed, like a casting director, are you her? Or is that her? Is that her? And so for so many years, just being in that feeling of, I've got to find the one I'm meant to be with, and then just getting so exhausted, so allergic to complication, and getting to a point in my life truly where I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be in a relationship if it's not the one I feel connected to. And I remember going to the event where Joy and I met at your event, Suzanne. And I was just, as I was going to the event, I was laughing to myself going, I'm not even interested. For the first time in my life, I don't even care. I'm so over it. I've been living this fantasy since I was 10 years old. And I think I'm done watching this movie, my favorite Netflix in my mind. And I'm done. I'm totally done, everyone. I'm just going to serve the world. And lo and behold, still maintaining a committed relationship with the wife I never knew and didn't even know if I was going to meet, but that's how I live. Then we met, and it was such a comfortable, shocking moment when we met. Literally we're at this breakfast thing that you were hosting, and the whole room disappeared, and we were just there together. And so I feel like the choices I made in my life to commit to Joy before I met her was like a tremendous gift I could give her from the moment we met. I'm very proud of that.
That's so beautiful. That's fantastic. I mean, I was going to ask you, well, how did you know? But I guess when the room disappears and there's just that one person, you sort of, that's how
I'd like
you
to
know.
add something. Since I do counseling sessions with people, and oftentimes, the relationship comes up, or people are seeking a partner, and are they ever going to find it? And something that I often find is that people have a very specific description of what this person is supposed to look like, what they do for a living. They must be vegan, they must be spiritual, they must be tall, they must be thin, they must be, independently wealthy. They must. I'm like, okay, you know what? You've closed the door to organic love walking through the door. When you set up this image of what it can be, and you're looking past, who could be the perfect person for you that may meet none of that description, but it's your true love. So, my recommendation is similar to what Joy said, just open your heart and surrender to true love coming along, maybe when you least expect it, but certainly, not restricting by having this definition of what your true love is meant to look or be like.
Absolutely. And I would say, I was in such a committed relationship with my wife before we even met that I could feel her frequency. Mm-hmm. And so when I would meet other women and it was a different frequency, it made it very easy of you're a lovely person, pleasure to know you as a friend, but I can feel people, both of us, read energy. So I got to know Joy's frequency before we met. That was just the wife I was in relationship with. And then as I'd meet people, I would go, well, that's very different or not quite it. And I think that's how we recognized each other. Our hearts were so both open, and we were so in relationship with each other before we met that we're able to recognize the frequency really quickly. And then at the same time, as human beings, we, because I told myself, my next relationship, I'm going to take it slowly, slower, the slowest relationship I've ever been in, mindfulness. And when we met, we both got together quicker than either of us had ever gotten in a relationship. So by the end of the weekend, when I left, I said, what was that? I was going to take it slow, and now I'm in a committed relationship. How the hell did that happen? But the truth is that even though the mind sometimes needs a moment to catch up, the truth was, it was just that obvious, instinctive, and easy. And I love what you said, Suzanne, because both of us have just been living in such a heart-centered way, serving our audiences, that when we met, it just was, it was as if our hearts knew actually before we did, and then the universe informed us, by the way, you both are together.
Right.
And it was such a moment of surreal disbelief and a reunion. It was so wonderful. And I know that our story is just a mirror of the multitude of stories so many of us on this planet are having and about to have. And so what an honor it is to help inspire love to come together in so many different ways.
Yeah. And feeling that, I think, Suzanne, what you said also, that openness that you and I both shared, and that experience, the opening of the heart. I think it's the freedom in the mind to let go of the list, and the opening in the heart. And it's something we both did, which to me is a balancing of that masculine, feminine energy within us of, I'm going to be open and surrender like the feminine. And I'm also going to clear my mind, but be focused like the masculine. I'm going to have that focused attention so that I'm going to see him when he arrives, and I'm going to know him in my heart. And I think that's such a big part of what's happening as we learn to harmonize our own energies. We can recognize the frequency of the other that way.
Well said.
Yeah.
I love that.
You're muted, Alan.
Muting myself, but no. So does everyone have the? I mean, I think the best advice I've heard from you guys is be committed to the one, even if the one isn't there.
Absolutely.
But is there a one? I mean, it's kind of a childish statement, but is there a one for everyone? I mean,
I would say yes. The minute each of us steps into a specific frequency that is in agreement to embody more of our higher self, the higher self of your divine counterpart enters your reality. And that can happen at any age, at any time. But I do believe that for someone who has loved and lost, maybe they were in a relationship, they found their beloved, and that person has crossed over to the other side. I do believe the vibration of that beloved will and can recreate itself into another partnership as the person who has been in a partnership or is seeking partnership maintains and elevates into more of their higher self. So I believe that true partnership is not just a distraction from loneliness. It's not a way of proving our worthiness. A true relationship is a reflection of, here's the intimacy you can amplify based on how much of your highest self you stepped into embodiment. And then together, Joy and I amplify each other in embodiment every single day, which is a little bit different than two people coming together, trying to play the right roles of embodiment, and then just play this cat and mouse game of triggering each other every other day, which again can be part of a relationship of preparing for the one. But truly, the one is about reflecting how much of the higher self you have stepped into embodying. And I believe that every person, whether they've loved and lost or are mourning the death of the beloved they haven't yet met, can step into that right now or at any point in their lifetime.
let me take notes on that. So when you're, just so I can get it, because I think it's so important, because, we're not here to have relationships, but relationships happen when you're doing the highest work you can do. That's what I feel. And so when you're then with a partner who helps you amplify your own work, you're giving more back to the world. I mean, so when you align with your true purpose, then what's the next part? Can you say that again?
I would say it's not just purpose. That's part of it. I would say is that when you are embodying a certain level of your highest values and integrity, so we all have values and integrity, and when the percentage of how often we act upon them with our words and our actions is a much higher percentage than moments we're not, that tipping point then calls to you through that frequency a beloved counterpart in whatever way you wish to celebrate love. Because, as we know, love can come through all genders and all ways. We all have masculine and feminine energies within ourselves, but in whatever way you are ready to love, you will call forward that divine counterpart to reflect to you and amplify in you the frequency you have cultivated. And we cultivate it by acting upon our highest values and integrity through our words and our actions as often as authentically possible.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Joy, did you know right away? Did the room disappear for you too? When you
at the same moment, we merged into a field together. Yeah. It was as if our field, we came together, and it like created some geometric pattern that we were together in this field, and we were aware that we were 5 minutes. Everybody sit down. We sat down at the table. I think I'm in a relationship with this person I've spoken to for 5 minutes. I don't know what's happening. And kind of the shock of that wearing off, and then trying to date in between our speaking events and the things that we were doing at the event. So we were off dating and then coming back. And
yeah, we were speaking and serving the world. And we were at the event in between going on these little covert dates. And, you know, it was interesting because I felt the same merging of energy. And it was something that I've sensed before, but I've never experienced the way I've experienced it with Joy. And, you know, by the end of the weekend, we were in a full-blown committed relationship. And, you know, when I found, and then as we got to know each other, her ethics and my ethics match and all these different things. But frequency wise, both of us had made a commitment to step into the highest embodiment of our divinity for the service of the world. And for both of us, ethical integrity had become the greatest desire in both of our lives. Our greatest desire is, universe, give me more moments and opportunities to be of the highest integrity. And that became such a joy, pun intended, joy for us. And then as we met, you know, because in relationship, there is work to be done, but it doesn't feel like work for us because we love growing. So every day we're growing together. Nothing feels like a hardship. Nothing feels arduous. You know, there's never a moment for us. And this is another thing I think is important for the spiritual communities to hear. There is an equal level of desire to grow together as there is attraction. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in spiritual communities, there's more of a desire to grow and less of an attraction. Just like for some people, there's more of an emphasis on attraction than there is on a desire to grow. For us, I think we both love growing, and we both are absolutely attracted to each other. So every day that attraction grows and expands through our ability to grow individually and together. And so it's really just an incredible connection. And again, I know in my heart, it's not as if we are holding the codes that no one else does, but I think we're brought together to help create a clearer map of how people can really connect in this way, and perhaps in a way that's less superstitious, less fear-based, and hopefully in a way that brings less suffering to people and more fulfillment.
Beautiful. I have when you're talking, Matt, because I think I interviewed you about 10 years ago. We met in Cincinnati. It's a great interview. You know, I really feel that love is present. But and I've been to you for over the years. So how does this relationship change because you would tap in? I've seen you just flow through. Did it shift? I mean, talk about that, because that's really interesting for me, how it shifted your work or not.
With Joy?
Yes, with Joy. Coming together with Joy, did it change your message and how you got it and everything you're doing? I mean, because you're including, but are you tapping into something else, I guess I want to know, or?
I think we're both tapping into the same thing, but when our energy fields merged, it actually amplified both of our gifts as intuitives, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and empathic. It amplified all of our gifts, and it actually makes what so we're working together. Joy also has her own community. I have my own community. And then, of course, there's the mutual sharing of what we're doing together. So what we have found is that when we're doing our work separately, both of us are actually processing faster, and it's a lot smoother in our work. And then when we work together, it's a different frequency of synchronicity. So it's kind of like imagining having your gifts, and when you're with this person, whether I'm downstairs at my office and she's upstairs, or we're doing it together like we are right now, both of us have experienced an acceleration of processing speed and even greater ease in being intuitive, an even higher level of precision. So it really has just been like an incredible upgrade. Sometimes people, when they get into a loving partnership, the newness of the relationship becomes a distraction to the work, and you have to kind of really focus. But for us, actually, it's been an upgrade to all of our gifts, and everything just kind of fits in the perfect place. And whether I'm doing a transmission by myself, whether she's doing one with her audience, or we're here together like we are here and at the Ascension Con, is just taken our gifts and just amplified it 100-fold. And I never even knew that was possible.
Wow. So Joy, talk about what, because I know Matt's work. I mean, but how have you been working over the years and shifting now that it's different?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I developed as a channel. I've been an intuitive and a coach for a very long time, and I've been channeling for about 20 years. And I channel a being known to me as Jonah. And I will channel Jonah from stage or with my audience. And so I do a stream of consciousness channeling. I'm consciously aware as I do it. So we have a similar transmission. We were similarly talking about love and expansion in our different audiences. And so when we came together, my work with Jonah still is there. And then we come into the field together. Jonah's there, but it transitions into something that's ours.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So what kind of messages would Jonah bring through, and does he have a message for us today, if you want?
Yeah, so Jonah's desire is to influence the awakening of humanity in whatever way best serves. So there's no agenda to have it happen within a spiritual context or a collective context. It's an individual. How many individuals can we connect with and open hearts and love and help awaken to this new layering of consciousness on the planet? The conversations that flow through are related to universal law in a way of really helping us not just know the universal law in our mind, but to feel universal law so that we can operate with the universe, one with the universe, rather than feeling separate from or needing to get messages from, but more of a merging. So that's the desire of Jonah. And the message that comes through today is the message that comes through, came through when we began, is to open your heart and to open your mind and to come into coherence will naturally move you into an awakening. And if you can practice these simple things, if you can really focus on what's happening inside of your body, what's happening on the outside will begin to ripple through and make changes. And so you're all on path, you're all doing well. Everyone is moving towards this awakening. And maybe even just an invitation to slow down and see that the simple things you're doing are changing the entire world.
That's good. I could say you're doing that, Suzanne. You're changing the world this way.
Thank you. I'm just so enjoying your conversation around love and around divine partnership and around complementing each other as the divine masculine and divine feminine. And it was coming up for me to explore for people, why relationships sometimes won't work. And what came up for me had to do a lot with self-love and also with self-discovery. Like, I think sometimes people will get into a relationship and they will be a mirror of what that other individual might want them to be, or they want to show up how the other individual sees them, which may not be their most authentic self, right? Or maybe they're not allowing each other to be their most authentic self and want to shape the other person to be more of what they think their ideal image is. So sometimes I recommend, if someone is single and, relationships haven't worked out, is to go on this real journey of self-discovery, to really understand who they are authentically. What are their, desires, preferences, goals? How do they really want to show up and look and be and express themselves without trying to please somebody else, or without somebody else imprinting upon them an ideal? And it seems as if, when people go on this journey of self-discovery, oftentimes they fall in love with themselves. They, may have to do some work on themselves, this all important work that they may have not done before. And so this period of sort of taking a break from being in relationship to doing the inner work, spending time on their own, going on this journey of self-discovery into authenticity. And like you're saying, maybe raising themselves to a higher level, whether that has to do with being in a higher love light frequency, or maybe they're raising their standards of morals and ethics, whatever, or even their service may become more aligned. But whatever that may be, the more that they fall in love with themselves and the more they attune to their higher selves, the more they open their heart and sort of set aside the mind in a way, like we were saying, not trying to justify or not trying to reason into why this person may or may not be a good fit for them, or is it the right time, kind of setting all that aside and just in love with themselves, really aligned with their most authentic and higher self, and then just opening the heart and surrendering to love and allowing that to come in whatever way may show up for them. But they'll recognize it more, I think, when they're really attuned to what love is through self-love.
Yeah, I think that's a great reflection, and something that you said that triggered something, or helped me see something more clearly in how we both show up together. And actually, Alan, it goes back to what you were saying about what's different. Something I can say, and I know, Joy, you've told me this before, we both have experience. So we both have our own unique audiences that, a lot of people are in the same audience. A lot of us in this field do that. And so I think of how we are teachers or healers in our audiences, almost like we were both living as single parents, right? Where I'm the masculine and the feminine, I'm the mother and the father, and she was the same way. When we met, and historically, my teachings are very heart-centered, and some people have perceived that as me being in my strong feminine as a man. When we met, we both noticed that Joy went more into her divine feminine, and I went more into my divine masculine. So one of the differences is we're still channeling the love. Joy channels the frequencies of the universe, and then I help move those into greater embodiment. And instead of being like two single parents in our audiences, it's as if she gets to be the divine feminine more. I get to be the divine masculine, even though we're very heart-centered in our approach. And so that's something I really noticed as we both have helped each other step more into our higher selves, which goes back to what, Suzanne, you were talking about, in the importance of self-love. And it's interesting how I've never seen myself as a feminine man. I've just been myself, but I've noticed how much more masculine I felt in this partnership, and how much more in her feminine she has felt. I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's actually a really interesting recipe for alchemy. And again, masculine, feminine energy having nothing to do with the gender of your body, but just on an archetypal level.
Well, that makes sense, because there you don't have to embody the feminine, because you got the embodiment of the feminine right there, Matt. And really well. And especially in partnership, then there's a trust that, okay, I got this one, you got. It's like, that's what. And I sense that in you, Matt. There's like more. You're more in your body. You're more grounded. Your feet are on the ground. I don't know you that well, but I can see that there's a shift. And I don't know Joy at all, but she's very, very nice too. Very, very feminine. She embodies that. And
well, so it's also too is, she channels Jonah, and I channel the energy of ascended masters like Melchizedek, who's my main guide. So I joke that Melchizedek and Jonah are now pickleball partners in heaven.
Right.
And, it's just really interesting. But, being more in my masculine was something I always desired, but it's kind of like something that seems so elusive. Like, I'm going to be in my masculine. Okay. And she's going to be in her feminine. And when we came together, it was as if our energy fields united and put us both archetypally in the strongest place that we could be for what we're doing together for the benefit of the world. And I feel such a difference in myself. And, I'm so grateful to Joy and grateful for the opportunity to be such a divine masculine for this divine feminine, and to be able to receive the divine feminine as Joy so beautifully embodies.
Well, me too.
Well, Joy, isn't that what isn't what ascension is about? It's about embodiment first. And that's how we actually, you're not ascending if you're just all up here in your head, but
Absolutely.
Talk about that. So,
yeah, the ascension is about accessing what's above, but then bringing what's above down into the body. So we're actually operating from the body at higher codes of frequency. And so we're operating from this space, but we're not operating solely from this space. We're bringing those higher aspects of us. We'll say that the 5-dimensional aspect of us comes into the body. And that's actually where the ascension is happening. It's happening right here where we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why we're going to the ascension retreats in Sedona, so we can ground. No, but Suzanne, it's true. Sedona is a great place for working the energies, and you've designed this conference to be a sort of embodiment. And Matt and Joy have a beautiful message of that. And my takeaway here is that you said commit. I mean, have the integrity to not just shop around and wait, and just be and know in yourself that marriage is there without getting distracted. Oh, maybe it's like, just hold the space. I think that's what I got. You hold space for the one, and there's no vacuum, so boom, something like that. Does that?
Absolutely. And I think that when you're wanting to bring the one into your life and you're ready to attract that partner, and you meet someone that's a potential partner for you, and the sense is, I don't know, you have two options. Do I lean in and get to know I don't know, or do we dare to so boldly say, I don't know doesn't sound like I don't yes. So if I hear any no in that phrase, then, and here's what's interesting, for every person that leans into an I don't know, they're going to find themselves in some sort of connection, and they're going to say to themselves, why didn't I know sooner that it wasn't the one? They actually did. Mm-hmm. It was just that the no came through a pattern of self-doubt and sounded like, I don't know. And so if we really allow I don't know to be a no, we have to face the fear of missing out. But what you're actually going to do is call towards you a higher level of alignment, a higher level of embodiment, and a greater opportunity to meet yeses instead of being distracted by no's and I don't knows. And as we are putting together what we're going to channel, because we channel at the Ascension conference, we're both so excited of all these different things that we're channeling about alchemy and divine partnership. And for the first time, we get to share it with an audience, and how they can bring divine partnership into their life, and what they can do to step into master level alchemists. And, really in the spiritual community, what our desire is our desire is to turn every person that we serve into a leader in the world and a leader in their life. So we're really here to help all healers and light workers and empaths step into greater embodied leadership. And that's really what divine partnership is about. It's about coming together to become leaders in the world and leaders in our lives. And we're just so excited to share what we're channeling with those that are going to be at the conference.
So good.
I mean, I just want to review from my own past experience. So sometimes you rush into something and you think it's it, but if you just step back if you say, well, is this, and then you don't ask that question because it's like, boom, passion, all that. And then I would say to myself, just step back for a minute and just ask, is that, and that's a good takeaway for me. So
that's great. And again, you could be intimate with as many people as you desire. That's a choice all of us get to make, and there's no judgment towards that. But when we are intimate together, even if two people say that they have an agreement that it's not going to be in a relationship or they have a mutual understanding, doesn't matter. When two people merge energy fields and unite their bodies, there is a connection that is created that we have to be ready to be responsible for. And so even if we say, oh, we had an agreement and we were just going to date, when we engage in activities that we would with our beloveds, we're starting to create a connection on that level. And for both of us, our desires to serve the world, none of us would wish to hurt a single creature. And so even when I was getting to know people on a social level, I had to engage and live in a way that was different than anyone else in my life, because it was so important to me to, one, find the person I was destined to be with, and two, not act from my physical desires in a way that I would unknowingly or innocently hurt another person. And so I think it's a new kind of conversation that I think is going to bring relief to a lot of people's lives.
Absolutely.
No, that's good, because it does look like here's this being, and then just, for me, step back, ask the spirit, not just the mind and all that. Yeah. What's that, Joy? What did you say?
To say absolutely. Listen, and not everyone the universe brings you is the one. The universe will bring you the one, but not everyone is the one.
That's right.
So we've got to pay attention. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you for this beautiful teaching for me personally and for everyone listening, maybe, because I think it's our natural state to be united. We're from that partner. We're born out of that divine partnership, that divine spark, and that's the spark we're looking for to just add to our mission, in a sense, to contribute. And I love the fact that you are working together and still doing your own things as well. And aren't they cute, Suzanne?
Yes, they are absolutely adorable. And I just wanted to mention that Matt and Joy will be doing a workshop together, as well as hosting an outdoor journey together during the conference. So on Saturday morning at 8 a.m., Matt and Joy will either together or singularly offer a meditation on both Saturday and Sunday morning at 8 a.m. And then they'll be doing this outdoor journey and the workshop. So maybe they could share with your audience what the workshop is going to look like and what you're envisioning for the outdoor journey.
Love it. Do you want to talk about the workshop? Or?
Yeah. So I think when we go into that workshop space, it creates an opportunity for us to connect with people in a more personal way and to be able to share some of the tenets. We've been developing 4 pillars of sacred relationship that we'll be diving into and helping people identify whether they're in relationship, want to be in relationship, don't want to be in relationship, moving to whatever stage you're at, helping develop, what you were talking about, Suzanne, that level of self-love and awareness that gets you ready for your own sacred relationship with yourself, and then how you can direct that into this holistic experience in your life in all 4 pillars, and then enter into sacred relationship with everyone that you choose, whether that's romantic or not. So we're going to be helping people understand that more deeply and cultivate that and have an experience of those frequencies. And especially as we get to the red rocks and we're able to be with those bowls, I really want to bring in those channeled frequencies that we have and help people feel the difference. What's the feminine? What's the masculine? What's the harmony within myself? to come to that place where I'm meeting a partner in that kind of mutuality. Yeah, I think we'll make it very experiential, and we're going to be bringing some wisdom to share with that they can take home.
And I think also when we talk about the 4 pillars of divine partnership, divine partnership really means the end of transactional relationships. And when we talk about the end of transactional relationships, for those that are watching it, because some people will go, oh, am I ready for divine partnership? But again, it's divine partnership on 4 different levels. We're always ready for divine partnership. But really, divine partnership is the end of transactional relationships, which means the end of feeling used by others or engaging with others when we don't realize we're actually using them. So for people who don't want to feel used in relationships, want to stop attracting people that use them, and don't want to unknowingly use other people as a means to an end, that's when you're ready to enter divine partnership, which means we all are ready for that. And I would say, in addition, when we lead these meditations, Joy anchoring the divine feminine could probably channel, we talked about this, channeling a meditation to help everyone in the room heal and upgrade their divine feminine energy. And I can channel the divine masculine counterpart, because together we want to help people come into heart coherence and to come into the greatest alignment and connection so that we can be in divine partnership. And again, whether that means you're ready to manifest a new romantic counterpart, or you're just looking to be in divine connection with your friends, your family, co-parents, or whoever, really what it means is stepping into the frequency where you no longer are used by people and you don't operate in a way that unknowingly uses other people. And I think we are all more than ready for that.
Yeah, no, thing. Oh, sorry, Joy. What were you saying?
I was just going to add one piece, because I can, so many people are coming from our current audiences. And for those of you that love the transmissions that Matt does and the transmissions that I do, those will be flowing through this space readily. So you're still going to get that flavor of what was it like to be in a room with Matt before divine partnership, and what's it like to be in a room with Joy. You're still going to get the essence of that, but then this amplification we've been talking about. And I think that's really important.
Yes.
Beautiful. When is that happening, Suzanne, in the Ascension Retreat?
Saturday and Sunday morning at 8 a.m. They'll be offering that meditation to start the day. I'm just so excited about that, really raising the love, joy frequency to start our conference both days. And then, you'd have to go to the website to see when their tour and when their workshop is. But yeah, they'll be offering that outdoor journey and the workshop on Saturday and or Sunday. The outdoor journey, I think it's on Monday or Friday. Not sure.
We'll look
at the website, SedonaAscensionRetreats.com. Go and check it out. Click on the schedule of activities, click on the workshops, click on the outdoor journeys, and check it out. When you go to the website, you'll see that you can purchase an Ascension Pass, which has 2 workshops, and or you could purchase a Transcendence Pass, which has 2 workshops and 1 outdoor journey. And just for the listening audience, when you choose a pass that includes those, or if you get a general admission pass and you add those, you're going to get an email for Sked. I'm really excited about this Sked app. So if I might just take a moment and share about it. My sister, who's just totally brilliant, has decided to come on board as the event manager and found this app called Sked. And so people just, buy a ticket that includes a workshop and a journey, say, and then they get this email where they actually go into the Sked app and choose the activities that they want to engage in the app. So yeah, if you want to, join Matt and Joy's journey and you want to join Matt and Joy's workshop, just purchase a workshop, purchase a journey. And then when you go in this app, you can actually choose theirs. I know that their journey is either sold out or very close to being sold out. So you want to get your ticket now and sign up for that. Also, there are some seats left in the workshop, as I know right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic weekend with so many great workshops. But before we go, I just want to ask about that phrase, Matt, transactional relationships, because the world around us is impacting us with television shows and movies, and someone would think there is no other form of relationship except that. I mean, I think that's been my program. It's like, although my parents had a beautiful marriage, very much in love, but I, got addicted to the media's idea of relationships, and how do you undo it? And isn't it true that that's what the world is forcing in us, transactional relationships?
Well, it is true. The world is, the messaging is reinforcing transactional relationships, and it actually is also the increasingly heavy gravitational force that is breaking apart the very fabric of how the world has been trained to treat one another. And just as much as transactional relationships seem like it's coming from every corner, we could also say, what's up with all this separation? Doesn't everyone realize this is all divinity? So in the same way, I think that it's the case that when we start treating ourselves and one another and respecting each other and ourselves as divinity, a relationship that is anointed by the divine manifests. And just as much as if we're relating to people as separate characters, and if we're relating to ourselves in separation, oneness seems like a fairy tale or something we have to run towards and chase. And when we start honoring and searching for the divine in ourselves, the oneness comes to life all around us. So I think in the same way, really, we're inviting people to ask themselves the question with no judgment whatsoever: what kind of connection to the divine do you want to have? What kind of world do you want to live in? What kind of relationship do you wish to have on every level? How do you wish for people to treat you? And what is the way you want to treat other people? And if we all agree that we want divine connection on all levels, then we are here to help teach a way for all of us to step into that divine partnership within ourselves, within our partnerships, within our relationships of family, and within our environment. If we want more divinity, we have to start relating as the divine. And the question is, well, how do we do that? So we're so excited, as the first time we're teaching together, to offer this model to everyone in attendance. And it's also a celebration of our 1-year anniversary. So please come join us for all the fun.
And your birthday on the 10th.
My birthday.
What?
And people are asking themselves, if they're saying, Matt, does that mean in honor of your birthday that everyone that comes is going to meet their next divine partner? Yes. We hope.
It's going to be a love fest.
It's going to be a love fest.
Well, I'm so happy you guys have met and spreading your teachings for people that need to hear it, and coming to the retreat and giving your joy and your love, one love at a time, to the world. And I think it's just adding to such a fantastic weekend that you've created, Suzanne. We got the UFOs with Linda Moulton Howe and Bashar, and then we got the real human core of existence, love. And so it's a lot of everything, so thanks.
Yes. Thank you, Alan. Thank you for all your support and for hosting us on New Realities TV. We so appreciate it. And just, I can't wait for our event.
Yes, me too. So that is the Sedona Ascension Retreat, March 8th to the 10th in Sedona at the Performing Arts High School. Go to SedonaAscensionRetreats.com, get your tickets and get those workshops, and be there, be part of this love fest, ascension, galactic awakening moment in time, because 2024 seems to be a whole year of for something completely different,
That's right.
So I'm happy about that. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.
Alan Steinfeld.
Thank you.